Why wait to earn the degree you deserve? You have the experience, you have the knowledge. Now's the time to get the credit for the work you've done and earn the recognition you deserve by starting your comeback at Purdue Global. It's time to earn a degree you'll be proud of, a degree that employers will respect. It's never too late. Never too late to come back stronger and move forward in your career. Start your comeback today at purdueglobal.edu. Purdue's online university for working adults.
This episode is brought to you by Navy Federal Credit Union. It's a special thing to be a member of Navy Federal because they are a member-owned, not-for-profit credit union that invests in its members with amazing rates and low fees. That's why members could earn and save more every year. Plus, they serve all branches of the armed forces, veterans, and their families. So if you're interested in becoming a member, learn more at NavyFederal.org. At Navy Federal Credit Union, our members are the mission. Insured by NCUA.
Episode 164, Money Motivation for Moms with Kat Alford.
Welcome to the Frugal Friends podcast, where you'll learn to save money, embrace simplicity, and live a richer life. Here are your hosts, Jen and Jill.
Welcome to the Frugal Friends podcast. My name is Jen.
My name is Jill.
And today is for the moms. Consider this another Mother's Day, right on the precipice of Father's Day, because, listen, we're women. We'll do that for you. We're not here for the fathers.
We'll always celebrate the mothers. We're here for the fathers, too.
We do.
They're a part of this.
Yeah.
They need to be a part of this.
They should. Yes. Honestly.
They've been a part of this.
Yeah. They should probably be listening to this episode because we've already recorded it prior to doing this intro, and it is good. We're not just talking about money in this one. We're talking, as Jill likes to say, we are whole people. And so this is a whole person episode.
Yes, all of the facets of who we are. And Kat just brings such a great, relatable, approachable style and perspective. So I really think you're going to like it.
Mm-hmm. But first, our sponsors.
Also brought to you by moms. Woo! We're talking about moms today. We see you multitasking on everything, taking care of literally everyone, not flinching at any bodily fluid you may find on yourself or on your clothing, packing lunches, responding to emails, never, ever being able to finish that cup of coffee you made for yourself, raising kids like a boss, despite the pushback, screaming, and insane decisions children make with their lives. Thanks, moms, for all you do. Moms, use code IAMYOURMOTHER for a 15% reduction in tantrums.
Oh, I will use that code. I've been looking for that. You may not have kids, Jill, but you are so wise when it comes to motherhood and how you deal with children. You are a sage.
That's so sweet of you, Jen. I've most of my friends are mothers, so I've got an up close and personal look at this life, and I just want to support you all. I want you to be kind to yourselves.
You do it very well. And so I was so excited for your insight in this episode too. So without further ado, let's get in this interview with Catherine Alford. She is an award-winning blogger, writer, speaker. She has been in the personal finance game since 2010. So she knows her stuff and she speaks on it so relatably. She doesn't have one of those finance degrees that has her speaking in jargon and speaking like above you. She's just like us. She learned it as she went, she researched, and she portrays it, she relates it back very understandably. And so now she's a mom of twins. They're 7 years old. And she is talking to moms specifically with her new book, Mom's Got Money. And I'm so excited for you to hear what's inside.
Let's do it.
Kat, welcome to the Frugal Friends podcast. We're so excited to have you here.
Wow, thank you so much for inviting me on. I'm excited to be here.
Kat, I think that this is a message and a topic that so many people want to hear about. So we're really looking forward to hearing more of what's in your book and more of the behind the scenes about that. So thanks for coming on.
Sure, it's my pleasure.
Yeah. So first, I think it'd be an interesting story. Tell us how you got interested in personal finance.
Yeah, well, I got into personal finance in sort of a backwards way. I actually went to school for history. I went to graduate school for history, thinking I would be a curator, work in museums, do education. And I started a blog when I was super broke in my graduate school program. I was making $12,000 a year in my teaching assistant stipend. And so as a bit of a creative outlet to take a break from all of the like really dense historical theory, I just started showing my thrift store finds and like the first apartment I ever had by myself and all these different things. And it sort of blossomed. And then I started freelance writing to supplement that $12,000 income. And I guess because I was writing about money, it served as a portfolio. And that's like what I had to pitch to potential jobs. And it just sort of took off from there. And instead of working in museums, I ended up, moving abroad, where my husband went to school, kept writing. And by the time I came back to the States, I was making enough money to have it as my full-time job. Along the way, like people would assign me articles that I knew nothing about, like, hey, could you write an article about mortgages? I really like how you write. And I'd never had a mortgage before in my entire life. But because I was a historian and knew how to research, I'd be like, totally, I can write about your mortgages. Totally, I can write about, I remember writing about Roth IRA for the first time and having no idea what that was. So over the course of like a decade of doing this, I learned a lot along the way. And now I do this full time.
Yeah, that's similar to how I learned a lot about personal finance.
Reading. That's what I can tell. Just read.
Right. Is a lot of research and a lot of Googling. Yeah. I loved the story in your book where you were in, was it the Caribbean? Yeah. And you kind of had this backwards way of like, some people will work and do a side hustle to try and leave their job. And you were there and you're like, well, there's no jobs for me here. So I'm just going to have to like do it myself.
Yep. My husband, was in his first 2 years of medical school down there. And I used to just sit next to him. He'd study for hours and hours and hours. And I just sat next to him and just kept pitching freelance writing jobs. Like we had no money. And I'd be so excited. I'd be like, oh, this one's going to pay me $12 for a post. And I felt like a real writer, But that's how it started. And it was just that hustle. I had no distractions, nothing else to do, no malls. I just spent that whole first 2 years as a growth phase, and it led to what I do now.
Just getting thrown into the fire. I feel like I hear this so often from people. I didn't really know it, but I knew that I had the tools to figure it out. And I think that applies to pretty much any field, especially with the amount of information we have available to us. It's okay if you don't feel like an expert immediately. Just start reading, start researching, watch videos, learn from others, and you can become the expert that you want to be. Amazing what we can pull out of your story.
Exactly. And, we all have these moments like, am I qualified to write a money book? Like, should I? But I included the story. I included like how it came to be and that I, actually have like liberal arts degrees to kind of show people that like, if I started like that and ended up writing a money book, like you can learn this. You can, start from nothing and gather the knowledge enough to then teach others over time.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So let's talk about your book. Kat, why did you see a need for a personal finance book specifically geared towards moms? Can you talk about that a bit?
Well, there's a lot of advice geared towards moms, but I felt like it wasn't high level enough. Like I would read all these articles and I'd read other people's blog posts and be like, hey, moms, here's some ways to save money. And it'd be like, so when you go to the grocery store, write your list and do this and don't forget your coupon book. And, I felt like, of course, moms can figure that out on their own. But I was missing the language that would speak to moms as if they were like highly intelligent powerhouses, totally capable of more complex money decisions than just going to the grocery store. And so I just wanted to, bring that to the market because I wanted to show moms that they were capable of kind of taking a leadership position when it came to money And that even if they knew nothing about it starting the book, that they were more than capable of getting there.
Yeah.
I just feel empowered listening to you talk like this.
Yes, queen. Let's do it.
Because so many moms, like stay-at-home moms, homeschooling, whatever, they're college educated.
Yeah,
they're smart. It's like we have this stereotype placed in us that like moms, especially stay-at-home moms, just went to college to get a husband, and that's absolutely not true. Right. They're highly educated and they've made their own life choices.
Right. But they haven't lost themselves. Like their brains are still in there, foggy on some days, taking care of kids, but still in there. And I mean, I'm always about like high expectations of myself, of others. And even with my friends, I'm like, you can do more, you can learn more. And I think all of us have the potential to really learn about this stuff.
I love what you said there. And I do think it's a bit of a controversial piece, but I'm going to go with it because once we explain it more, I think we get it. The do more. You can do more. I think that's initially a statement that's like, no, stop telling women that they need to do more. Stop telling moms that they need to do more. But I so agree with you in the sense of there is more available to you. And I think that what we're talking about is one of the things that can lead to so much difficulty internally and possibly even externally for specifically moms who are trying to juggle so many things. I mean, what's on everybody's plate is different, but a lot of times, especially where there is just this expectation to raise children, there's all these other aspects of a woman's personhood that then get missed, that feel stifled, that lead to feeling stuck, that feel like I'm not operating to my fullest potential. And yet society is saying, no, but this thing should fulfill you. So stop complaining and just like do more in your home. And I think what you're describing here is there's more than just grocery shopping. You are capable of more, and there are outlets for more. And like helping people rise to that next level is beautiful. And I think it allows those outlets that moms need to be able to feel their fullest self.
Right. This is about fulfillment. And this isn't about do more as in like, let's add 10 more things to your list. This is about, in those quiet moments during the day or in the evening when you have the thought to yourself, like, is this really all this is? Is this all it's going to be? And you wonder if you're the only one that thinks like that. Like, these are the moments that I'm like, you went to college, you graduated like 7, 8, 9, 10 years ago. Like, you can still pick up something new. You can still like enhance your life. Like, it wasn't like this part of your life, you were a student and you learned, and now you're in this motherhood part. You still have all your interests. And I think stay-at-home moms, working moms, I just think we all need to have something just for us. And, even if your day is 90% kids, I still think you should have like a little 10% of something just for you, because our kids aren't always going to be here under our roofs, and when they leave, if that was all your life was wrapped up in them all the time, you're going to have this really empty feeling when they go off to college. And so I try to keep pieces for me along the way so that there's, stuff to do when they go. Mine are going at the same time. So
yes, you have twins for
do.
Those who don't know, which is so fun and so terrifying.
Every day. Yes, exactly that.
I mean, I so agree with you. And I think sometimes it can definitely make you feel a little guilty to try and keep that peace for yourself. Totally. And I know Jill helps me with this all the time because I feel so much guilt for I think I should be able to do it all the time. And she's like, no, it's okay for Travis to watch Kai because he made half of him, so it's okay.
Yeah. It's not babysitting when the father is watching the kid.
She literally had to tell me that the other day. It's not babysitting when the father is watching
we were
the
at
child.
A pool and she's like, I abandoned my child. I was like, you need to get that language out of your head and out of your mouth.
I wasn't saying it dramatically.
You were sitting by the side of the pool while your husband is with your son. That's abandoned nobody.
Yeah. No, it's hard. I mean, we place a lot of pressure on ourselves, and Even if you have a really even distribution of labor in your house, some people have more than others, moms still feel like the primary parent, default parent. And that's just kind of the way our culture and society has evolved. And to even push back against it a little bit just feels weird and feels wrong. But yeah, it's hard for me too. It's hard for me I just recently told my husband, I'm gonna need like a day at a hotel soon, it doesn't have to, it could be 5 minutes away, but I think I need, what I was hoping for was 24 hours without having to like have the right answer to everything. Everybody's got a lot of feelings at this age 7, and you want to respond in a way that's like healthy and like you want to validate it. I just don't want to validate anyone for like 24 hours, So
yeah.
But even feeling like asking for it is hard, saying that you need a minute or a break or something, all of that's really challenging. I don't know why, because my husband just went to a conference in Chicago last week and he's like, going to a conference. I'm like, okay, no guilt. It's like, I don't know, it's different.
Yeah, for sure. So on the subject of like your kids, how does like dealing with personal finances when you have multiple young children at home, like how does that differ? How can moms like do their personal finances like differently?
Yeah, I mean, each additional kid, right? Whether you're having one at a time or two at once, I mean, there's a lot of different things to consider. And one interesting thing that's come up is, especially with twins, you always try to treat them equally. Like for a long time, I had them each in one activity, and I was like, okay, well, tennis costs this much and ballet costs this much, and they were like close. And it felt, like I tried to, I give them each the opportunity for the same allowance, or, all these different things. They go to the same private school. And so you try really hard to be equal, but as they get older, different things emerge, right? One child might have like a medical issue, or one child might need additional therapy for something else, and then it gets way skewed. So I think when you have multiple kids, I think it's good to try to at least even it out, but it's really hard to even it out money-wise, financially, to spend equally on each kid. And yeah, my husband and I, we have a budget meeting once a month. We kind of organize things. Budget meetings go way better than they did when we got married 11 years ago. It's a lot smoother now. We've got a lot of practice in.
Yay, good work.
Yep. And, even now, like at a higher income, we still ask each other if we're going to spend something over $50 that's like extra or outside. And we have like a little system now, but we talk about the kids and what to spend on them, and summer camp and family vacations, and all those things come up in our budget meetings. And the childcare thing, we're past that part now, but that was a big discussion too, especially for moms adding a second kid. That's a big thing. Oh, am I going to wait till this one's 5 and in school? Do I have them back to back? Do I, all of these things are big money conversations that have to happen.
AI might be the most important new computer technology ever. It's storming every industry, and literally billions of dollars are being invested. So buckle up. The problem is that AI needs a lot of speed and processing power. So how do you compete without costs spiraling out of control? It's time to upgrade to the next generation of the cloud, Oracle Cloud Infrastructure, or OCI. OCI is a single platform for your infrastructure, database, application development, and AI needs. OCI has 4 to 8 times the bandwidth of other clouds, offers one consistent price instead of variable regional pricing, and of course, nobody does data better than Oracle. So now you can train your AI models at twice the speed and less than half the cost of other clouds. If you want to do more and spend less, like Uber, 8x8, and Databricks Mosaic, take a free test drive of OCI at oracle.com/strategic. That's oracle.com/strategic. oracle.com/strategic.
Hi, I'm Martine Hackett, and I'm hosting the second season of Untold Stories, Life with a Severe Autoimmune Condition, a production from Ruby Studio in partnership with Argenix. Sharing real stories of MG, CIDP, and other autoimmune conditions, we hope to share inspiration and educate the larger community about these severe and often overlooked conditions.
I can't fix this, I can't cure this. And, I'll take my treatment day by day, but I want to try to be engaged, be involved, or be as helpful as I feel I can with the limitations I have of working full time to children. So I participate in market research to provide information to hopefully benefit others, because it's a small margin of people that have the myasthenia, but then to get pregnant, it's an even more narrow margin. And you can't ever have too much information as an epidemiologist.
Yeah, exactly, right? Listen to Untold Stories, Life with a Severe Autoimmune Condition on the iHeartRadio app or wherever you get your podcasts.
I love how you've paired, the money conversation and how you have to take children into consideration. So This is Jill talking for those listening. I have no kids. And so even hearing you describe this, it's apparent to me how different it is to live for myself and my husband. What do they call that? Dink life, double income, no kids, versus maybe double income with kids. I don't know if there's an acronym for that. There is a big pivot that happens, and you are responsible for people. You're responsible for keeping them alive and then fed and a roof over their head. And especially if you're not dealing with a large income, there's definitely a lot of money decisions that need to be made and conversations. And so this is absolutely a part of a mom's life, but just a person's life, a person with kids. So I love that you've paired the two and have made it approachable for, specifically moms who want to be empowered in this area.
Sure. Mm-hmm. What do you say, when I see a lot of parents trying to put spending money on their kids as a priority over investing money in themselves. So they'll try and get their kid a car or invest in their college before they've invested in their own retirement or paid off their own debt. And I can see how that would happen. You want to give your child a better life, but when you sacrifice your own finances, you're actually not giving that child a better life because they're going to have to take care of you later.
Right.
What do you say to moms that feel that way?
Yeah, I struggle with this too. Even just in little ways, both of my kids' rooms are so cool. My son has a super cool bed. It's a loft bed. They got all this cool stuff in there. And our bed has no headboard, it's I still have the lamps I had in college. It's we don't, for us, it's nothing. For them, you get the cool bed, And so I can see how that happens. When you have kids, you place their needs above yours in the littlest ways and the big ways. If there's one cookie left, I'm cutting it in half and giving it to each twin. I'm not eating it myself, right? That's just basic stuff. So then we get to more complicated things. And then eventually, right, the best gift we can give to our kids is to be stable and financially independent as we age. It's definitely challenging, right? And so I would say, right, intellectually, the best thing to do is to make sure that you're prioritizing your own retirement. And if you can't do that and pay for your kids' college, then help your kids be responsible. But I know in practice, parents are going to want to lean into helping their kids. And so, especially if you have young kids right now, this is something to think about. This is something to look really hard at your income. Do I have an income problem versus a spending problem? Do I need to spend the next 5 to 6 years really focusing on my career, leaning hard? Do I need to switch jobs? What can I do? Because to me, the answer isn't, I don't prefer, let's spend less or let's pick us over them. For me, my default is let's make more. What can we make? What can we earn? What other business can we buy? What can we do? How can we optimize? Because to me, my solution is always earning more so that this is not a problem and I can take care of all the things. And I think there's such a scarcity mindset, and people are I read something the other day, this mom said, my husband and I are going to retire at 70 instead of 65 so that we can pay for our kids to go to college. And to me, I'm my business brain is but there's so many ways you could have closed that 5-year gap, but that's how I think. Mm-hmm. So part of what I do is trying to encourage people to think a little bit bigger, and again, kind of recognize their own potential and kind of erase any idea of income cap or things like that. There's lots of ways to make money so you can achieve all your financial goals and more.
I really appreciate the way that you're getting people to think bigger. It's not just about, again, the grocery shopping, but this challenge, it's like expanding my brain to consider it as a better gift to give to your kids, that you're not going to be financially dependent on them in retirement versus college if it comes down to that. It'd be great if we can figure out a way to have it all. But these bigger questions that we should be asking rather than kind of just the daily minutia. But that being said, I could see people in different camps, right? Some moms choose to work for money. Some moms choose to just work and not get paid for all of the work that they do at home or whatever the situation is.
Right.
And you talk about this a little bit, like the child care versus career dilemma. I know that this is another hot topic, so we can certainly tread lightly. But please share your thoughts on this and kind of what you describe in the book regarding this concept.
Yeah, well, by far, this chapter was the hardest chapter to write because I am so pro moms. Like, I want moms to make the decision that's the best for them. And I just felt like I just wrote this chapter a million times and I had so many different people read it. Like, am I coming across the right way? Am I coming across as supportive? Am I coming across like I value both options? Because for me, I only work about 30 hours a week. I pick my kids up from school every day. So the whole time they've been born, I've been like half stay-at-home mom, half working mom. And so I kind of like, have a toe in both worlds. So I feel like I understand both worlds. My biggest thing in this chapter was to educate moms who want to stay home if they are working and then decide to stay home, that this is not a one number problem. So often moms say, well, daycare costs the same amount as my paycheck that I get, so I'm just going to stay home with my kids. But to me, I think much more broadly, and I think there are many more numbers you need to run. What does it look like when you step out of the workforce for 5 years? You lose your employer match. Are you the person that has health insurance, for your family? Was there any other bonuses or a Christmas bonus you always use to buy gifts? And what raises would you have been eligible for in the next 5 to 7 years? It's not just you today, the paycheck, gets wiped out because of the daycare. It's you at 65 wanting to retire, those 5, 6 prime years of investing time in your 20s or early 30s. What would that amount have been, in retirement? So, and remember, like, I left the workforce to start my business. So all my benefits come from me. My own health insurance. I put my own money into retirement. I have no employer match. I am the employer and the employee. So all of these things I thought about when I decided to leave the workforce, and I thought about my kids too. So sometimes the emotional decisions are more important, but I just wanted moms to run every number and to really think about it, because it would really suck to leave your job and to go home. Well, now you've lost your income and now you feel broke and you feel stressed. Now you have a new baby. Now you feel like you can't take them to the zoo or a museum because you feel broke. And that's not fun either. So there's a lot more money considerations that go into it.
Yeah, I think that as women, and especially as moms, we may not realize how important it is to stay in the workforce and increase our incomes even with kids. Yeah. Like, Jill made this amazing revelation last night when we were hanging out and just like Googling. We looked up.
This is what we do when we hang
This is what we do.
You guys are as cool as I am.
Yeah. So we looked up the 10 richest women
in the world.
In the world. And the 10 richest people, which, spoiler alert, the 10 richest people are men. Yeah. All 10 of them. And so we looked at the women first, and the women, all 10 of them, had inherited wealth from their grandfather, father, or husband. And so Jill was like, there's no way the richest people in the world, most of them it has to be generational. Like, that just made sense. And so when we looked at the men, 0 out of 10 inherited wealth. They had all built it in their
lifetime. All 10 men. And the amount of wealth that they had built in their lifetime was over double what the top 10 richest women in the world.
Mm-hmm. All 10 were higher than even the top one woman in the world.
Yeah.
And we were even talking to Eric, who's interviewing at his job, and like the amount that women ask for is far less than what men ask for, even with comparable experience.
Yeah.
And so there's a wealth gap and there's a wage gap. And I think we need to get away from...
And there's a confidence gap.
Yeah, we need to get away from this ask for what you're worth mentality and just ask for more. If you ask for more every year.
Because we're not good at assessing what our worth is.
No, we are not good at that. And just being like working for more and then asking for more, or going someplace that will give it to you.
Yeah. And I talk about this in the book, and, everyone's like, well, how much do you ask for? And like, my answer to that is ask for a number that makes you highly uncomfortable. You should not feel good sending that email asking for whatever number. It should make you want to throw up because it feels like so wrong. Because again, we are fighting against massive forces, multi-generations of cultural and societal pressures that tell us like where we fit into society as women and mothers. And every time we ask for more, we want to please everybody. We are the caretakers. We want to be well liked. We want other people to think we're a good woman or a good wife, and like we're nice and we're generous and we're this. And ambitious women are often penalized. As an ambitious woman, I mean, when I say things, sometimes people don't like it, like I've been working on the internet a long time with a lot of trolls, right? So but again, I like to kind of push the bounds of this stuff. And yeah, you can't get what you don't ask for. Should they offer us the same? Yes. Should they offer us more than men because we're like way better at multitasking and way better at getting stuff done? Yes. But people aren't asking us and they're not giving it. So like we have to push for it. And every time I've sent off like big proposals and stuff, like I'm like, oh, there's no way they're going to say yes to that. Or I can't believe I asked for that much. And I've never asked for that much. You should not feel good. It should feel bad. So we're so focused on feeling comfortable all the time and avoiding all conflict that we just stay in the safe zone. You got to push in order to make more.
I love what you said. Like you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. Like if you don't ask, you 100% will not get it.
And you have to have an abundant enough mindset to be okay if you don't.
I think this message is so much for the person, the mom who wants to stay in a career, wants to have an extra expression of personhood to keep some semblance of self. There are certainly moms out there who say, but I don't want to. I am so pleased to get out of the work that I was doing. That was a burnout rate, and my husband can work or my partner can work, and that's great. But I even think for those moms and parents, I think that this is even a challenging conversation to say, but is there anything that you want to keep your feet in? Some type of expression of self, and paid or unpaid, or maybe it moves to paid. I mean, you're describing, Kat, freelance writing while you were still holding down other types of work. And so I think just expanding our mindset to say, if there's a part of you that says, I do want more, this doesn't feel like everything that I envisioned my life to be with kids, then yes, go for it. Get at it. If you are pleased with where your life is and you're staying at home, fantastic. Yeah. But I think just permission and freedom that these things are available to you.
And don't think that your kids can't be a part of it. Like a lot of my two closest friends here are both stay-at-home moms. One has a PhD in physics and one has a degree in math. And they're both like so happy being stay-at-home moms. My kids love going to their houses because they have like all the things and all the crafts. They do all the special things. They come to me and I'm like, fold your laundry. Let's go. So, like they love going over there because they're like so great at all the stuff. Right. But, they get joy out of doing science experiments. Like, again, my friend, she did like cancer research and all this stuff. Well, very happy being a stay-at-home mom, but she's like with my kids, like in a creek, showing them crawdads, so happy. Again, these are her passions like flowing through and her making like basically like little teaching plans for the kids. She's not getting paid for it, but your passions can include your kids too. It's about like allowing yourself to pursue the things that you like and finding a way to incorporate it in your life. So there's just some variety to the day, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Well said.
Yes.
Like, oh, that was a noise. Jen's like, yeah, I need some variety.
Yeah. Well, I mean, speaking of variety, I know exactly how we can add some variety to this show.
Okay.
The Bill of the Week.
That's right. It's time for the best minute of your entire week. Maybe a baby was born and his name is William. Maybe you paid off your mortgage. Maybe your car died and you're happy to not have to pay that bill anymore. Duck bills, Buffalo Bills, Bill Clinton. This is the Bill of the Week.
So every week we ask our listener or our guest to share with us their Bill of the Week. Do you have one for us?
I do. I wouldn't have had one yesterday, but I have one today. As I shared earlier, we are recording this on my birthday. And so I want to share that my birthday gift this morning from my twins, they each, I'll show you on our video, they each gave me a $1 bill for my birthday.
Oh my gosh.
In a Ziploc bag, wrapped in a huge box that they designed with wrapping paper that they colored all over. And I found it hilarious. I also got a sparkly rock, but that doesn't fit with this show. I thought it was hilarious. It must have been, I mean, to me, that was a big deal. You know, they really enjoyed their dollars, and I got one from each of them, and that they decided together. So I have 2 bills today. 2 bills richer.
My gosh.
Wow. I mean, spend it wisely.
Yeah, that's in the top 10 bills of all time.
I love it. Sounds like your kids know you well. This is what mom wants. Money.
Yeah.
You've trained them well.
Sometimes I think I overdo it a bit. You know. Okay.
I mean, we talk about what we love, and we love money.
Exactly. We do. Money.
I hope to get something like that from Kai one day.
You will. You totally will. Yeah. Actually, like in the beginning of the school year, their teacher asked them to bring 3 things that they love to help kids, you know, the other kids learn about them. And my son put a bunch of dollars in his bag, and he's like, I love money. I love Legos. I love money. And I love this. I was like, what? It's like your first day of first grade. Maybe we shouldn't like hit it so hard, you know, hit everyone with it. Like, let's add a tennis ball instead. You know? It's like,
yeah.
I appreciate it, but I don't know what your teacher will think. But it's good. Like I said, sometimes maybe I overdo it. So.
Someone in an internet comment was like, you should say you love the freedom of money, the freedom that it brings, not that you love money. And I was like, I'm sorry, I love money.
I do.
Like, I'm a personal finance writer. It would be weird if I didn't love money.
Yeah, haters gonna hate.
Yeah.
I love Legos and I love money. Out of the mouth of babes.
Yeah, they're funny. Like I said, this age is hilarious. Good, yeah.
Amazing. Well, if you are listening and you want to submit your bill of the week, whether it's your twins bringing you dollar bills on your birthday or literally anything else, because that's quite remarkable and unique, visit frugalfriendspodcast.com/bill. Leave us your bill.
Hi, I'm Martine Hackett, and I'm hosting the 2nd season of Untold Stories, Life with a Severe Autoimmune Condition, a production from Ruby Studio in partnership with argenx, sharing real stories of MG, CIDP, and other autoimmune conditions. We hope to share inspiration and educate the larger community about these severe and often overlooked conditions.
I can't fix this. I can't cure this. And, you know, I'll take my treatment day by day, but I want to try to be engaged, be involved, or be as helpful as I feel I can with the limitations I have of working full time to children. So I participate in like market research to provide information to hopefully benefit others, because it's a small margin of people that have the myasthenia, but then to get pregnant, it's an even more narrow margin. And you can't never have too much information as an epidemiologist.
Yeah, exactly right. Listen to Untold Stories, Life with a Severe Autoimmune Condition on the iHeartRadio app or wherever you get your podcasts.
We all agree that reducing carbon emissions is a good thing. And once again, Toyota is leading the way.
Yeah, we hear a lot about fully electric vehicles, and Toyota, they got them with more on the way, I'm telling you.
We also know a BEV is not for everyone, whether it's because of cost, range, or if you're like Ray and you're going to start freaking out, oh no, I can't find a charging station when that battery gets real low.
Yeah, plus the raw materials used to manufacture batteries are limited. Enter Beyond Zero. So Toyota's vision for a carbon-neutral future in vehicles and in manufacturing plants, too. In the years ahead, trust me, it's happening, baby. The materials used to make just one long-range battery for an EV could be used to make batteries for 6 plug-in hybrids or 90 gas-electric hybrids.
That's why Toyota's position today is electrified, diversified, empowering you to choose how to reduce your own carbon footprint with the vehicle that's right for you, a hybrid, plug-in hybrid, or battery EV.
So shop, learn more, or get details at toyota.com/beyond zero. Toyota, let's go places.
Vroom, vroom.
And now it's time for
the lightning round.
Therapy edition. So
your sound effects are just amazing on this show.
Thank you.
Should come on more often.
I really think that that's why we are a top 100 investing podcast.
Clearly, it's a strength.
Really the sound effects.
Yes.
So today's lightning round is a little different because we're on the topics of moms, and Jill is not a mom, but you have so much wisdom to share with moms. I know you talk to moms all the time. Kat and I will be sharing a little bit of some postpartum or guilt-induced thoughts that we have experienced. Maybe financially, maybe not. I think both of it, they're vaguely financially related.
Yeah.
And then Jill will be giving us each a response in how she would respond to somebody with the same thoughts, because
I'm not counseling you. This is a podcast for entertainment.
This is lightning round. This is the lightning round. But I think when I was reading your book, Kat, and you mentioned about like postpartum depression, OCD, I'm like, it was not until I became a mom that I realized how common it was. Like nobody talks about it when you're not a mom. And it's not until you've already gone through it and you're out of it that you realize, oh my gosh, I went through that. And so my goal is to normalize this so much that we can almost laugh about it. Like you're not crazy.
Yeah.
Like you're not unstable or inadequate in any way. This is just like weird hormones. Yeah, so that is the purpose of this, not to make fun of ourselves, but to normalize this.
Important.
So, Kat, as our guest, give us anything.
Yeah, well, I shared in my book, and, it took me a couple years to get this book deal, and I think one of the reasons, in hindsight, was that I needed a couple years of space to tell the story. But yeah, my twins were preemies. We moved when they were 5 weeks old, which was like right around when a 40-week due date would have been. So they were tiny little 5-pound babies. We moved them across the country. My husband started his third year of medical school. It was basically like all of the things, like the perfect storm of things. And I'd never been a mom before. So I was having just horrific, like unwanted thoughts, like terrifying thoughts about things happening to them, or like I'd be bathing them and my brain would be like, just walk away, just walk out of the bathroom and just like see what happens. And I'd be like actively fighting against it. So it wasn't like what I imagined motherhood to be. I wasn't like looking at, oh, my kids are cute splashing in the tub, or I was battling all of these thoughts and fighting against them. Like, I'm not doing that. I'm not walking out this room, but you feel so crazy. And I kept it all to myself, like, because I thought, well, everybody says having a kid is hard. I have 2 of them. I'm also by myself. My husband's working. I just became self-employed. I guess this is just what everyone talks about, like, oh, sleep while the baby sleeps, because it's really hard. I thought this was like how it was supposed to be. But what I described in the book is the first time my husband like watched the kids, like I felt like, okay, I'm going to go right. I'm going to get my work back in order. I had taken like a 6-week self-imposed maternity leave. I'm like writing in a coffee shop and I start getting all these unwanted thoughts, which now I know is like postpartum OCD, which you have no control over the things that just jump in your head. And so I'm like calling my husband and I'm crying in the Starbucks, like crying. And I'm like, I just got this horrible image of something happening to the kids. And he's like, they're just bouncing in their bouncers. Like, they're fine. And then he starts asking me questions like, well, how long have you been thinking about this? And I'm like, well, since they were born. It all just kind of like, it just pours out. And he was immediately like, Catherine, you need some help, and I'm going to find someone for you. And he did. He did a bunch of like research and found like the right person for me, and, got officially diagnosed with, PPD and postpartum OCD, and started talking to a therapist and all of these things. And it really helped. I had like no B12 in my system. Like, I finally had like a whole like physical, like the whole thing. But I wish I would have done it sooner, and, luckily my husband is a physician and, could immediately kind of jump in there, recognize things. Cause, who knows, maybe other dads would be like, wow, it sounds like you need some rest or you need this. And he was like, no, this is more, we need to get you some help. And so, yeah, I'm very grateful to him for that. He's really like kind, and he listened to me like as if I was any one of his patients, and he took care of me. And I'm really glad that he did.
Wow, Kat, thank you so much for your courage in saying this. I know that you are not alone, and there's so many people who are probably like, oh my goodness, me too. And there's words for this. And yet it takes somebody brave enough to be able to say it, that, hey, this is actually what's happening. This is some of the reality, where you've got other people feeling like they're in silos, isolated, thinking, I'm the only one, I must be crazy. And that's what happens when we're isolated, is we think that's just our experience and no one else feels this way. But thank you for saying it. Thank you for writing about it. And I think some might be listening like, why is this on a personal finance podcast? Well, because we're whole people. And this comes into the equation of parenthood, motherhood, working, staying at home, dealing with financial decisions. Like, all of these things intersect and converge and affect one another. And if one area is not aimed at well-being, then it's going to affect all other areas. And so to be able to create space to say, listen, you're not crazy. There's nothing wrong with you. There's a reason that this is happening, but we don't want to set up camp there. We don't want to forever live out of this place. And so I'm so thrilled to hear that your husband actually had his sights on, let's bring help into place. For some, this might be you're fine, just get over it. That's like not the message that we want to be spreading necessarily. And sometimes that's what we speak to ourselves. But I think so much of what you were saying is reaching out for help, being able to say, listen, here's some of the dark thoughts that are happening. Just getting it out of our heads can help to take like the mystery and the legs out from under it. And it creates this space to then be able to respond to it. So anyhow, if I can pull anything out of what you've said to encourage other people, it's certainly, well, you're not crazy and this happened for a reason. And say it, speak it out to a trusted person. There is no shame in getting some of that help like you described. So well done.
Thank you.
Glad that you got the help that you needed in that situation.
Thank you. Me too. And, every chapter in my book starts with a personal story that tied to a money lesson. And I shared that story in a chapter where I talked about the importance of vulnerability. And, mental health is just as taboo of a topic as money is. So in that chapter, I talked a lot about sharing your money, like if you're having money trouble, and even being vulnerable and sharing your money goals, your money wins. And the hard part about that is like, people might not have the reactions that you want, both the mental health thing or the money thing. And you might lose some people along the way who like can't handle things or have to set up boundaries. But that's kind of like why I shared that in a money book, to kind of talk about the importance of vulnerability.
Yeah, I'm so glad you did. Like, when you were telling your story, I heard a lot of my story in it. Like, when I had my son, I had no idea. I had this idea in my head of what it should be like, but I had no idea like what it was going to be like in reality. Like, I knew it was going to be hard because people say newborns are hard.
Yeah.
But I thought postpartum depression was just like feeling thoughts of like harming yourself or someone else or something. So I don't know if that would be depression, but just thoughts of harming yourself, which I did not have.
Right.
So I just thought that I was tired or overwhelmed. And it wasn't until like looking back and having like some space between me and that season that I realized like I had postpartum anxiety, and I like never got help for it because my husband didn't know, I didn't know, like nobody around us had experienced it, or at least if they hadn't talked about experiencing it. And Facebook was not helpful. Like everyone is sharing more on Facebook about like their stories and stuff, but I think we see more of like the extreme stories. And mine was just like very under the radar. Yeah. Like I thought I would, like I have a group, like a accountability group that I meet with every week. And I was like, 4 weeks after Kai was born, I was like, I have to write a book because having kids and having more kids only gets harder. And so like, I have to write a book and self-publish it now because it's just going to get harder. And I need to be doing so much in my business because I took time off and all of this, and all these kids, or all these, my friends with like older kids are like, no, it doesn't get harder. Yeah. It gets easier when they get older. And I like just couldn't hear anybody, like, because I had all these thoughts in my head. And so like now that it's like calmed down, I really wish that I had just had people to be vulnerable with, because I can see how it's so easy to make financial decisions in those first 6 months that you could really regret later on. And it could be due to undiagnosed, something postpartum. Yeah. And so thankfully my mistake was just trying to work too hard. But yeah, man, I just wish it was talked about more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think the thing that stands out to me in both of your stories is just the isolation piece, like the loneliness that can come, especially in those initial stages of motherhood, and thinking you have to do it alone, which I think is such a societal piece, and having those around you in your circle who aren't asking those questions. I think that's what's standing out to me the most, is even like, Jen, like you do have people, but some of it is like your own permission to say these things or your own kindness towards yourself. And so I think having people beforehand, kind of having your sights on this, and then go throughout motherhood, having people in your corner, trusted individuals. It might only be like 1 or 2, maybe 3 if you're super lucky, but yeah, having a close community, like you said, Jen, that you can be vulnerable with, who you can invite into that place. I think that's one of the key components and protective factors of how you get through this. Because sometimes, like you said, you don't even know exactly what's going on inside of you. You just know, I feel a little off, but I don't even know how to describe it. So yeah, surrounding yourself with trusted people is such a huge component.
Yeah. Well, Kat, thank you so much for coming on and sharing thoughts from your new book. Where can people get more from you?
Sure. Well, my book, Mom's Got Money, is available anywhere books are sold, and you can even request it from your local library if you'd like. And my website is katherinealford.com. There's a free like Mom's Got Money starter pack they can download on my website, which has some of the charts from the books and just some ways to get started if people are really at ground zero. I'm always on the gram. That's my preferred, social media. And I'm Catherine C. Alford on the gram.
Awesome. And we'll have links to all those in our show notes. Thanks again for joining us.
Thank you, Jen. And thanks for sharing your story too. And Jill for offering such kind advice. I love your voice is like so soothing. I'm like, can we chat again? Like you're so calm, and I really appreciate you guys having me on. Thank you.
Thank you for your time, Kat.
That was amazing, especially that little part in the end. That's not a normal thing. That's not going to be normal moving forward. I think
so necessary.
Yeah.
I think we need to hear in all the spaces the reality of what life is, navigating parenting and finances, and all of these things converge. So yeah, and I mean, Kat even said it. It's one of the two top taboo things to talk about is mental health and finances. And those are the two fields I'm in. So you best believe we're going to be getting into some taboo topics because they need to be talked about if we're going to be aimed at well-being.
Yeah. And I hope if you are a mom listening to this, or you want to be a mom and you're listening to this, I hope that you feel connected in a way to other mothers. Because, I mean, like our revelation that we were having last night, like there are no women in the top 10 wealthiest women that have made that for themselves. And like there are definitely successful women, but I think we have too far to go when we compare ourselves to men to be against each other. We have to support each other. We have to connect to each other because we will go faster alone, but further together. And we have so far to go. And I just hope that this makes you feel motivated to do more, whether that's with money or with whatever is in your life that you're feeling a lack in, and that you can confide in your girlfriends, your mom friends, and that we can close this gap together. Maybe not in our lifetime, but our children's or their children's lifetime.
There's so much we can accomplish in our lifetime, though, so let's do it.
I know. If you look at those top 10 men, they all did that in their lifetime. So enlightening. Anyways, thank you so much for listening and for your kind reviews on iTunes and Stitcher. I know there was a conversation in the Frugal Friends community on Facebook about how hard it is to review on Stitcher, which is why we don't read a lot from them. So if you're on Stitcher, Google how to review us because I can't tell you. I have an Apple. Just like Overworked Anna, who gave us 5 stars on Apple Podcasts and said, love it. I work in healthcare and rarely have free time. I find myself walking a longer route or taking a bit longer just so I can listen to your podcast in between duties. I absolutely love the both of you and have learned so much and gained a ton of useful info for your podcast. Definitely the highlight of my days. Thank you both and keep it coming. Thank you, Anna, for working in healthcare.
Yes.
So much.
What an amazing powerhouse of a person. I'm sorry that you're feeling overworked. I hope you get some rest. But glad to hear you're taking the long route just to hear our voices.
I know. If we can incorporate more rest in your life by just talking longer, we will.
I enjoy the image of you walking down the corridors of a hospital listening to our voices. Thanks for taking us with you into that setting. We also want to thank our friends who share these episodes on social media. So when you share the latest episode and tag us on Facebook or Instagram, we add you to our monthly drawing. What's our monthly drawing, you ask?
What is it, Jill?
For every 5 tags and reviews we get each month, we give away a copy of the Frugal Friends workbook written by yours truly, Jen and Jill.
So keep leaving us those reviews on iTunes and Stitcher. Send the screenshot to frugalfriendspodcast@gmail.com. Don't forget to tag us on social. We do see it even if it's a little late. And we'll see you later.
See you next week. Be kind to yourself.
Frugal Friends is produced by Eric Sirianni.
So I want to revisit when you were saying I was abandoning my child because I don't want people to think I'm overdramatic. I was saying I feel like I was trying to verbalize my feelings, even though those feelings were unreasonable. So feeling like I abandoned my child by just watching him play with Travis in the pool. Yes, that was unreasonable, but sometimes you have unreasonable thoughts in your head. So I think I was trying to get that out and say out loud so that I could hear how unreasonable it sounded.
Yeah. I'm glad that you spoke it out loud because it helps to get it out of your head. But I'm still going to respond to you and say, you're not abandoning your child. I'm going to help you with those thoughts.
You are a voice of reason in my life. I am vulnerable with you.
Oh, thank you.
Because you are a safe place. What's that phrase you use about vulnerability?
Vulnerability without protection leads to exploitation. So yeah, you definitely have to find the right environments to be able to speak those things. You are safe with me. But yeah, when you use the word abandon, I'm definitely going to pounce on that.
Thank you. Thank you. I deserve it. Thank you.
Oh, Jen, my message to moms, oh my gosh, if I could just encourage people to be kind to themselves. That just seems to be such a massive barrier. It's just permission for kindness. Like whatever you would say to other people. I love when we hung out last night. You're saying all these things and you're like, and I know exactly what you're going to say. And you did. You said it. I'm like, oh my word, you know the voice. So then it's just a matter of applying it. That same kindness to yourself that you show to other people. So
yeah.
Oh, so I'm just going to keep saying it over and over. It's so simple, but until it sticks, be kind to yourself.
I need to hear it, so thank you.
You matter in this equation. So do your kids, and so do you.
Bring home Napoleon.
Destiny has brought me here.
The action epic from acclaimed director Ridley Scott.
What is your name?
Napoleon. You are the greatest leader in the history of the world.
Witness the rise.
You are nothing without me.
Of the legend. Starring Academy Award winner Joaquin Phoenix and Vanessa Kirby.
I'm the first to admit when I make a mistake. I simply never do.
Napoleon. Buy or rent on digital now. Rated R.
Need an easy button to feed your baby? Baby Brezza's Formula Pro Advanced makes a perfectly mixed warm formula bottle automatically at the push of a button. No air bubbles, no fuss. Literally, choose your temp, select your ounces, push start, and you're done. Works with virtually all formulas and bottles. Say goodbye to the 3 a.m. feeding chaos and hello to this revolutionary stress-free solution. Raising a baby is hard enough. Let Baby Brezza make feeding a breeze. Get your Formula Pro Advanced at babybrezza.com.